Berarti Assalamualaikum and good evening to my lecturer and my fellow friends. We are from MTH3701 Group 1 SCL Group 10. My name is Hariz Mustaqim bin Maharis. My metric number is 207622 and I am joined here today by the rest of SCL Group 10. Amir Azian bin Alias 206119 and Zarifah Zaifiera Binti Zainal 207966. And today we are going to present the task given to us for our SCL group work, starting from task 1. And now I'm going to give this to Zarifah to explain.
Okay, so for task 1, the question is find the present value of 3,000 ringgit 3 years from today at 10% interest rate. So from this question, we can know that the T is 3 years and the I, which is interest, is 10%, 0.1. So we want to find the present value. We put it into the formula. Present value equals to FV, future value, in bracket 1 plus I to the power of negative T. So after we key in the data that we get, we will get the present value equals to 2,253 ringgit and 94 cents. Next. So for task 2, the question is find the value now if you get 6,500 next year. What it means here next year is another 1 year. So the T is 1 at a 15% interest rate, which is I equals to 15%, 0.15. So like task 1, we put the data into the formula and we will get the present value of 5,652 ringgit and 17 cents.
Okay, now we continue with task 3. So the question is an investment with a 4-year life and cost 225,000 ringgit generates cash flow of 48,000 in year 1, 67,000 in year 2, 95,000 in year 3, and 110,000 in year 4. If the cost of capital is 15%, calculate the NPV of the investment and discuss if the investment should be taken. So for this question, we just put on the data into the table so we can see clearly the cash flow by year. So after that, we just key in the data into the formula of NPV minus C0, which is 225,000 ringgit, and then we get negative 7,242.34 ringgit. So since the NPV is less than 0, it is non-profitable. So the investment should not be taken. So that's for task 3. So next is for task 4. So the question is a project with a 3-year life and cost 100,000 ringgit generates cash flow of 25,000 in year 1, 45,000 in year 2, and 65,000 in year 3. If the cost of capital is 8%, calculate the NPV of the project. Should you undertake this project? So for this question, same as task 3, we just put the data into the table so we can see cash flow by year. And then we just put all the data into the NPV formula and we get 13,000 and 327,000.49. So since the NPV is greater than 0, so it is profitable and this project should be taken. So that's all for me.
Okay, for task 5, the question is a project will receive 3 annual payments of RM 2,500 and 4,000 ringgit in year 3. Find IRR for this project if you invested RM 9,000 now. As per the usual, we will put it in a table, and as we can see from the table, we can clearly see the cash inflow, the present value, and the DF at 10% and DF at 12% in order to calculate the NPV for both a positive value and also a negative value. We need to have both of this in order to calculate the IRR using the trial and error method. So by using linear interpolation and by making y1 equals to the negative NPV and y equals to the positive NPV, we can plug it in into the formula of linear interpolation, and using some substitution at, by switching around the places, we can get the IRR equals to 11.20%. Since the question does not ask us to interpret the IRR, we are going to just leave it at that, 11.20%. For task 6, the question was an investment with a 4-year life and cost 225,000 ringgit generates cash flows of 48,000 ringgit in year 1, 67,000 ringgit in year 2, 95,000 ringgit in year 3, and 110,000 ringgit in year 4. If the cost of capital is 15%, find the IRR of the investment and discuss if the investment should be taken. Again, since the question already gave us the cash flow for each year up until the 4th year, we can just put it into a table. And as we can see on the left, we can see the cash flow for each year. And this eases our process of calculating the NPV. So we get the NPV with the cost of capital 15% as negative 7,242.34. This is our negative NPV. So we need one more NPV, which is positive value, in order to calculate the IRR using linear interpolation. In order to achieve this, we need to use a lower rate. So we are going to let R equals to 12%, which is equals to 0.12% in our calculation. We plug in all the values that we had just now into the formula of NPV, this time using 0.12% as our value of R, and then we get the NPV value 8,795.24, which is a positive value. Now that we have both the negative and positive value, in order to find the IRR, we use again the linear interpolation, this time letting R equals to X and NPV equals to Y. Substituting everything and swapping places for each of the calculation, we get the IRR equals to 13.64%. The IRR is 13.64%, which is lower than the cost of capital in the question just now, which is 15%. And based on the steps to solve for IRR, we can only undertake the investment if the cost of capital is lower than the IRR that we calculated. So since the cost of capital is higher, which is 15%, than the IRR, which is 13.64%, we can accept this investment. And that is all for task 6. Task 7 asks us to create an Excel worksheet for each task. And this is so that we can see that our answers were correct and we are on the right path. So for task 1 and task 2, we can see here that we can find the present value for each of the tasks, which is similar to the answer that Zarifah just presented just now. For task 3 and task 4, the answer is also the same as the one that Amir presented just now. And for task 5 and task 6, the calculation in Excel worksheet is also the same as the one that I presented just now. And that is all for all the tasks that were given to us. So based on all the tasks above, we have learned a few things that should be considered before making any investments decision. First of all, we need to choose any investment platforms that offer high interest rate, as we can gain a higher benefits.
Next is, before we invest in any project, we have to make sure that the transaction of the project will give a positive net present value, which is NPV, and avoid a negative net present value so that we can get benefits in the future.
Lastly, as we all know, the internal rate of return, which is IRR, is a metric used in financial analysis to estimate the profitability of potential investment. Therefore, when we comparing investment options with other similar characteristics, the investment with the highest IRR probably will be considered as the best choice for us. So that's all from us. Thank you.